Okay, so I think we all can agree that Pokemon is a fairly easy RPG game. Some might say a little too easy, especially past Generation 6. It makes sense after all. The game was intended for 10-year-olds, so we as adults had to get a little bit more creative to make these games a little bit more challenging. Enter the Nuzlocke. There are three basic rules you need to know for any given Nuzlocke. You can only catch the first Pokemon in any given route. If your Pokemon faints, it's considered dead and you can't use it for the remainder of the game, and you have to nickname all your Pokemon so you grow more attached. There are tons of people out there who like to come on here and talk about their very first Nuzlockes, because after all, you never forget your first. And these stories talk about how people came into this game and completely dominated the region. I did not. Yep, as I'm sure you read from the title, I wiped my first Nuzlocke. You can actually watch it right here on YouTube. I'll leave a link for that in the description below. But for those of you who don't want to go through 20 hours of footage, I figure I'd just give you a quick highlight reel of what happened. Try and knock a 20-hour plus Nuzlocke into maybe 20 to 30 minutes. And who knows, maybe those of you who are interested in doing Nuzlocke in the future can learn from my failures on what not to do. So I just went over the three basic rules of a Nuzlocke. I thought to myself, you know what? That's still a little too easy. So I added a few more things to make it even harder. I decided not to use any items in battle, and I played the game on set. Set means no free switches, in case you don't know. But wait, there's more. I turned this into a drinking game. Not my brightest decision. The drinking game was simple. Anytime one of my Pokemon died, I had to take a shot. Don't do what I did. I really don't recommend it. As for the game, I decided to go with Pokemon Shield because I had never played it before. Also, I went into it blind, knowing almost nothing about the games. I didn't know anything about the gym leaders, or the story, or anything like that. I know people are very mixed about it, but I wanted to experience it firsthand for myself and go in there like the newcomer I was without any internet spoilers. And for the most part, I avoided them. So, hooray for that. But maybe I should have done a little bit more research if I was going to turn this into a drinking game, or should have forgone it entirely. Anyway, enough of me rambling. You know what I'm about. Let's get to what you really came here for. This is how I failed my very first Pokemon Nuzlocke. The start of the game greets us with a cutscene where we're introduced to the world of Pokemon, and the champion, Leon. He does a hand pose called the Charizard pose. It actually kind of reminds me of Jeff Hardy's hand gesture. That's a professional wrestling reference for those of you that don't know. As we see him having an exhibition match against one of the gym leaders, Raihan. We see Leon's Charizard Dynamax. We then get a title card, and the game suddenly cuts to the player character, yours truly. Our friend Hop bounces his way into our home, jumping up and down in glee that his brother is coming home. We head into town to meet Hop's brother, who turns out to be the champion, Leon. He's come back home to give his brother a Pokemon. And me, I guess, because I happen to be there. Hop allows me to go first, and since Fire-type Pokemon are usually hard to come by, I went with Scorbunny, who I nicknamed Bad Bunny. Once Hop picks his first Pokemon, he challenges me to a battle. So I bash in his Wooloo and Grookey, all the while Hop tells me how great I am and cannot believe this is my first time. Battling, we're talking about battling. I then buy all the Pokeballs I can afford, Leon gives me 20 more, and the Nuzlocke officially begins. My first ever encounter is Rookie D. I get down to about half health and catch it. I nickname him Nightwing. Not long after, I caught myself a Nickit. Then I goofed. While I was deciding what to call it, I misclicked and pressed the B button, leaving my Nickit nameless. I later learned that you can actually go to the cafe in the Pokemon Center to re-nickname your Pokemon. But by the time I found that out, it was too late. Don't worry, we'll get to that. In case you're curious, I was gonna nickname my Nickit Makoto. Although I was kinda hoping it'd be a female because I wanted to nickname it after this Makoto and not this Makoto. I make it to Professor Magnolia's house with Leon and Hop. Magnolia tries to convince Leon to endorse Hop and me to enter the gym challenge. Leon agrees to, if we're able to show him a passionate battle. So I passionately take out his Wooloo and Grookey with Nightwing, and Bad Bunny takes out his Rookie D. Passionately, of course. Leon agrees to endorse us. As if waiting for its cue, a couple of wishing stars fall from the sky. Magnolia takes them from Hop and turns them into bracelets, giving Hop and I the ability to Dynamax our Pokemon. With the champion's endorsement, we head to the wild area. Oh, and Magnolia sends her granddaughter Sonia to keep an eye on us, who only really shows up every now and again. Sonia leaves us to fend for ourselves, and I march into the wild area. I get a warning that there are some strong Pokemon in this area. I didn't know how strong they meant. I learned that the wild area had many different subsections, so I decided to call every subsection a different area. I first caught a Tyrogue in the entrance that I named Jackie Chun. Then I ran to a Duskull. A very strong Duskull. My strongest Pokemon right now is 12. This Duskull was level 26. I switched in my not nicknamed yet Makoto. Since it was Dark type, I hoped it could at least take one attack, see how much damage it does, and if it's too much, run. Well, this Duskull knew Nightshade, and Makoto had less than 26 HP remaining. So Makoto was Makoto'd, giving me my first casualty. To make matters even worse, I went into full panic mode. I tried to run, but couldn't. Knowing this Pokemon would most likely wipe my entire team, I threw a Pokédoll at it, and ran away like the sissy I am, breaking one of my rules in the process. Now this was a spur-of-the-moment decision. I had no idea what I'd done. By the time I had noticed, I had already been playing the game for several hours and didn't want to reset. So instead of just resetting and doing it all over again, I decided to take an extra shot. This is my Nuzlocke, I will do what I want. But I promise, this is the only time I use an item in battle. It won't be the last rule I break, but well, we'll get to that. After losing Makoto, I ran to Motostroke as quickly as my little legs would carry me to bury my dead. Sorry Makoto, you will not be missed, but I will take a shot in your honor. I make my way to Bidu Hotel for a good night's rest. But when I try to check in, Team Yell, the evil gang, tries to take me out. I easily defeat them, and that's where I run into rival number 2, Marnie. Turns out Team Yell is just a bunch of Marnie simps. After getting a good night's rest, I attend the opening gym ceremony, and just when I think I finally gotten rid of Hop, he wants yet another battle. I swiftly beat him and continue my way through Route 3. It's there I meet my next partner, Outcast the Glossifer, and after battling through a small wave of trainers, I make it to the Galar Mines and got myself Roxanne the Roly-Coly. And just as I was about to exit the mines, I run to rival number 3, Bede. I got close to losing Nightwing during the match, but other than that small scare, I easily beat him. And Nightwing evolves after the battle, so that's nice. I finally make it to Turf Field where Sonia gives me a history lesson on Dynamax. At this point, there was so much talking, I just zoned out and started mashing A. I head into the gym when Sonia finally stops talking to challenge Milo. I lead with Nightwing, who murders Milo's entire team, especially after he becomes a big bird. Thanks to the badge, off to the next gym. Along the way to Hallberry, I encounter Team Yell harassing the scientist. I don't know why, he's got nothing to do with the gym challenge. Anyway, I save the scientist, and he gives me a Rotom-powered e-bike. The rest of my journey to Hallberry is uneventful. And after spending more time than it should take to figure out that water puzzle, I was only one drink in at this point, I finally make it to Nessa. I tried leading with Spike the Electrike that I caught on Route 4, but his Shockwave only does a little under half health to Nessa's Goldeen, and Horn Attack hits me pretty hard. Knowing that Spike would fall to a crit, I switch in Outcast. Her Dreadnought got Outcast into the red after Dynamaxing, but we hang on, do the same, and Outcast just managed to sweep Nessa's entire team. Knowing the next gym leader I'd be up against is a Fire-type user, I figured this would be a good time to hunt for a Water-type. Thankfully, in Galar Mines number 2, I encountered Shellos. This was an amazing encounter as I evolved to Gastrodon, who is a dual Water Ground type, having only one weakness. So I was over the moon when I caught Slime the Shellos in my first ball. It needed a bit of catching up to be on par with the rest of my team, but I was confident going to the next gym. But before that, I ran into Bede, who challenges me because he doesn't like that I was endorsed by the champion. I leave with Spike as a new Bite as Bede leaves with Solosis. I use Bite taking a third of its health, but then Spike gets one shot with Psyshock that doesn't even crit, And as I'm sure you can tell by the look on my face, I was not expecting that. Spike was only one level lower than Solosis. I knew Electric doesn't have the best defense in the world, but I thought I could at least take one attack. Nightwing gets revenge for his fallen comrade with Payback. Roxanne takes out Gothlita, Outcast takes out Hatina, and Bad Bunny takes out Ponyta. Losing Spike was a bit of a shock, so I spent the next little bit growing up the weaker Pokemon in my party beyond par of my current ace, Bad Bunny. While training up said team, I caught a coughing and I named LA. Spoilers, he didn't last very long. But while I was training Slime, it got sucker punched by a wild Stuntfisk, killing it. Now, this might be because I was 3 shots in at this point, but this was the first death that really affected me, knowing that I would never have my Gastrodon. But life moves on after your slug dies, and I need to think of a plan B. I went back out to the wild area, remembering there was a pool of water I could fish on, and I reeled in a Magikarp. I caught it and called it Kitty. It won't replace Slime, but this was my plan B. I wiped the floor of Marnie, and then I trained up Kitty until it evolved into Gyarados. I then challenged Kaboo for my 3rd badge. I tried to lead with Gyarados, but it was hit with a Will-O-Wisp on the first turn, weakening its physical attack and its strongest move, Waterfall. So I switched in Roxanne, who buries Kaboo's entire team. With 3 gym badges, I was given permission to head over to Hammerlock to try to get the rest of the badges. I do so while trying to avoid every possible Pokemon in the wild area. I don't need another Duskull incident. After getting a quick tour around Hammerlock, I run into Hop again, whose confidence was recently shattered after a defeat from Bede. No time for that though. I've got a gym challenge to complete. But before that, I went to Glenwood Tangle for another encounter. I ran into a Ponyta. But I had one small issue that I didn't realize at the time. This Ponyta was 1 level higher than my catch gap. In Pokemon Sword and Shield, you're only allowed to catch Pokemon up to a certain level depending on how many gym badges you have. At 3, which is where I'm at right now, I can only catch Pokemon up to level 35. This Ponyta was level 36. And I did not realize level gaps were a thing because I was skimming through all the dialogue after the first 9 minutes of Hop talking my ear off. I understand why Game Freak did it, otherwise you can just go out to the wild area and catch a level 60 Tyranitar after 3 badges. But I did not realize this, so in this moment, I was a little tipsy, I had just lost LA the coughing, thus I was annoyed. I'm not sure if I should count that as a failed encounter, but I decided to cut my losses, head into the gym, and challenge Alistar. And this is where I make dumb mistake number... What am I even on now? Kitty had learned Crunch while I was battling the gym trainers. So, being the smarty pants that I am, I Dynamaxed Kitty right away and started spamming Max Darkness. And it was going well. Until Dynamax ended. I thought Dynamax was like Mega Evolution, lasting until the end of the battle, because I seriously do not remember reading anything that told me that Dynamax only lasted for 3 turns. With that surprise, I had to think of a new plan. So I sent in Roxanne and hoped for an ancient power boost. It didn't happen, but she did manage to take out Alistar's Mimikyu, but her HP was low, so I switched Kitty back in, who eats a Max Darkness from Gengar. He takes it well, but gets a special defense drop. That scares me as I switch in Jackie Chun, because I'd rather lose him than Kitty. I should have just kept Kitty in, who probably could have done a good chunk of damage. Jackie Chun barely takes the attack as Gengar gets a special attack buff. Knowing I had no safe switch in, I made the hard choice to just let Gengar kill Jackie Chun. I bring Kitty back in, who just takes a Venom Shock and does good damage for Crunch. Kitty's down the red, and knowing that Gengar is faster, I had to make a choice. I didn't want to lose Kitty, so I'll have to bring in someone else to die. So I sent in Outcast, who is unfortunately killed by Gengar. But thanks to that, it gives Bad Bunny the opening it needs to finish it off, and I get my 4th badge. Before I talk about the next gym challenge, let me give you some context. I had failed so many encounters at this point that I no longer had enough Pokemon for a full team of 6. I failed one of them because I crit it, and I failed the other 2 because I ran out of balls. Moral of the story? Stock up on balls. After the gym battle, I sweep Bede's team so hard that his endorser, Chairman Rose, kicks him out of the tournament. And the reason why you're seeing my ugly mug instead of the actual footage is because I forgot to press the record button during this part. Don't record tipsy, kids. And don't drink. Wait till you're legal. And drink responsibly. I then took my team of 5 to challenge Opal for my 5th badge. Bad Bunny takes out her Wheezing and Togekiss. Roxanne takes out Mawile, but I run into trouble when Opal sends out Alcremie. Firstly, she dropped my stats despite me getting the answer right. Not to mention Alcremie is pretty bulky, so lowering my stats was not ideal. I switched in Kitty, forgetting the sun was out, and Alcremie was getting more HP than I can chip away at with Draining Kiss. Once Kitty got confused, I had to make another decision that would bring my team down to 4. I sent out Fufu the Michino, who gets crit one-shot, which gives Bad Bunny the opening it needs to finish it off and grab the 5th badge. Realizing I had to rebuild my team, I head off to Route 7 where I catch Victoria the Galvantula, and on Route 8, I obtain D'Angelo the Sandaconda. With my full team of 6, I head right for my next gym challenge against Melanie. Roxanne takes out Frostmoth and Darmanitan, and Bad Bunny takes out Ice Cube and Lapras, easily grabbing my 6th badge. After yet another battle with Hop, whom I easily defeat, I start trekking along the next route where I come across this fisherwoman. Things are going well, until she sends out a Lantern, probably the best hard check for my team. 5 of my Pokemon were weak to either electric or water, and 2 of them have a 4 times weakness. So I send in Victoria, the only Pokemon I had that wasn't weak to Lantern, but I didn't take into account that I may have Voltazorb as its ability. I went for Discharge, which thanks to its ability, does nothing. Lantern then kills Victoria thanks to the assist from Hail. That brings my total shot count up to 7, and by this point, I was really starting to feel it. No time to worry about that as I bring Spoopy the Jellicent to replace my fallen comrade. And once I get back on track, I run into Marnie. My next destination is the town of Spikemuth, but it's blocked off. Marnie tells me she knows of another way in, but I'll have to battle her first if I want the goods. I make quick work of Marnie, who keeps her word and shows me the way. Now that I'm in Spikemuth, I challenge Piers, the very first Dark-type gym leader, to a battle. But this time, I can't Dynamax, and Piers has his own original theme. And honestly, this might be a bit of a hot take, but I like this gym leader theme a lot better than the original one. The other one's still a banger, but this one is on a whole nother level. Probably top 3. Ironically enough, the both of us lead with Intimidate users, with Piers leading with Scrafty, and I start off with Kitty. Not wanting to battle with an attack drop, I switch in Nightwing. I buff its stats with a couple of Hone Claws. Thanks to an unfortunate crit from Scrafty, Nightwing's down to about half health, but it one-shot Scrafty with no issues. Malamar is out next, and I thought Drill Peck could one-shot it, or at least get close. But Malamar hangs on with about a third of its health left, and takes out Nightwing with foul play. I thought that Nightwing could for sure take that attack. I was clearly wrong, and I lost the longest partner I've had that isn't my starter. I send out Roxanne, who takes out Malamar thanks to a crit Ancient Power. When Pierce sends out Obostagoon, I do a double switch, switching Kitty to get the Intimidate off, and switching again to Bad Bunny, who takes it out with a double kick. Last up is Skunk Tank. I switch back in Kitty and get Dragon Dancing. Skunk Tank lands a Toxic, which I'm kinda glad for. Its ability is Aftermath, and if it had decided to go for a Sucker Punch and it critted, I probably would have lost Kitty. Instead, I one-shot with Waterfall and grab my 7th badge. Turns out Piers is Marnie's Oni-chan, as she gives him heck for closing the gates to other gym challengers. Big Brother Piers agrees to open the gates to give every trainer a chance, and I go bury my dead. At this point, all my lights are off upstairs. I couldn't even remember what route I'd been on. Thanks to that, I made mistake number 2, catching a Pokemon on a route I've already been on. On Route 7, I caught Soft Kitty the Berserker. Thankfully, I never actually ended up using it in battle and released it when I realized my mistake. Last mistake, I promise. Well, last rule break mistake anyway. I head back to Hammerlock to challenge Raihan for my last badge. And it's a double battle! Yay! I lead off with Bad Bunny and Kitty, while Raihan leads with Flygon and Gigalith. With the sand going and knowing what I'm up against, I switch out Bad Bunny for D'Angelo. I should have switched out Kitty as well, as it gets hit with a quad weak Thunder Punch. If it wasn't for Intimidate, I'm sure that would have taken me out. And Gigalith lives a quad weak waterfall. So I switch out Kitty for Roxanne. Raihan's Gigalith sets up Stealth Rock, but Drunkme was too stupid to realize it. You'll see why in a minute. D'Angelo takes out Gigalith. I tried bringing in Overdrive to Kling Clang, but once I saw it knew no useful moves, I switched back in Kitty, who eats rocks. Left with little choice, I Gigantamax Kitty, who takes out Flygon. Sadly, D'Angelo was taken out with a crit Earth Power from Raihan's Sandaconda. Unfortunately, his last Pokemon, Duraludon, takes out Kitty with Max Rockfall. I try switching back into Overdrive, who just lives a Max Knuckle. Not wanting to lose yet another Pokemon, I switch back in Bad Bunny because I had forgot about Stealth Rocks. He does take a Max Knuckle pretty well as Dynamax ends. Now I had no idea what type of Pokemon Duraludon was at the time, so I was just hitting random attacks and hoping for the best. I got Bad Bunny to use Headbutt, which does next to nothing because it's a Steel Dragon. It nearly takes out Bad Bunny and Spooping with a Breaking Swipe, but Sandstorm Chip Damage will take them both out if I don't finish it off this turn. And I was freaking out about it. Spoopy goes for Shadow Ball and takes out Duraludon. It's a miracle I survived that battle. Now I have all 8 badges, but slim pickings in terms of teammates, so I head back to the wild area to build my team back up. I catch a small handful of Pokemon in all the subsections of the wild area, and then make my way to Wydon. I was seriously unprepared. One of those Pokemon I caught was Fondongo the Blossom. It got hit a little too hard from high horsepower from a Mudsdale, and was killed. Not long after, during yet another trainer battle, Overdrive missed a gear grind on a Rhydon, who was then murdered by a crit Bulldoze. Now at this point, any sane trainer would step back, reassess the situation, and adjust accordingly. I did not. In fact, by this point, I had lost so many Pokemon that I cut myself from taking any more shots because I knew if I took another shot, I'd be blacked out and would not be able to complete this challenge. So I bring Jesus the Noibat, Rosie the Snorlax, and Soft Kitty, who I later learned I can't use, and don't, into my party and make my way to the stadium. My first battle in the Gym Challenge semifinals is against Marnie. Bad Bunny, who was probably furious about all his fallen teammates, wipes her entire team. In the finals, I of course had to face Hop. Roxanne takes up Dubwool, then Bad Bunny sweeps the remaining members of Hop's team. With that, I've officially won the Gym Challenge and have the opportunity to battle the champion. But wait, I can't battle him yet. Turns out Rose, the guy who's only been on my screen for about 15 minutes of this 15-hour playthrough, is actually a pretty shady guy. Who would have thought? With some help from Marnie and Piers, Hop and I break into Rose Tower and take out all of his henchmen, despite Hop being a terrible partner. We make it to the top where we're confronted by Oleana. Hop is like, "You got this," and sits back while I battle Oleana. Roxanne takes care of Frostglass. After a long, stally battle, Spoopy eventually takes out her Milotic. Bad Bunny gets Tesserina. Roxanne comes back out and takes out Salazzle. That just leaves Oleana with Garbodor. We both Gigantamax, and Roxanne is killed with a Max Quake. And that hurts. Bad Bunny comes out and finishes off Garbodor. Now, even the stupidly drunk me knows I need to grind up my lagging Pokemon if I want to have any chance of beating this game. But time was not on my side. A little bit of context here. While I was filming this, my wife and I were actually expecting another baby. And it gave us a couple of scares pretty early on. Really, we thought that this baby could come at any time, so I was rushing to complete this because I knew I could not do this after the baby comes. I'm not that dumb. I'm not going to be hanging around drunk while I have a newborn baby just sleeping upstairs. What if the wife needs me to do something? Be responsible, kids. But I do have some good news for you. The baby did actually end up staying in full term and was born perfectly healthy. So I was worried for nothing. But at the time, I did not know that, so I was rushing. Something you should never do in a Nuzlocke. After hearing Rose talk about his master plan, I went back to the wild area to train. After grinding my team up to the high 40s, I went back to the stadium for the final challenge. Turns out before I can battle the champion, I need to have yet another battle against some of the gym leaders. But first, new gym leader Bede wants to battle. I reminded him why he dropped out of the gym challenge in the first place and made quick work of him. Now for the rematches. Nessa is up first. Thankfully, I didn't have too much trouble taking her out in our first match. So this match starts with Barraskewda taking out Jesus with Ice Fang. So, great start there. Bat Bunny comes out and finishes it off along with Golisopod. Spoofy takes out her Sea King and Pelipper, but I ran into trouble with Drudna, as it knew Max Darkness. With little choice, I switched in Spoopy for Huna. Once I saw that she too would be two-shot, I send out Rosie to eat a hit. It doesn't go down very well as Rosie is killed in action. Bad Bunny cleans up my mess, and that's the first battle down. All that's left in my box are a weak level Pokemon. And since I actually have a chance to rest in between battles, I should have taken this opportunity to take these weak Pokemon and grind them up. That's what I should have done. Instead, I just take them out and head right back into the stadium. Now I get to face Alistair again. Last night didn't go so well, so let's see how I fare completely smashed. Well, I need a clean switch on his Chandelure, so I swap in Faker the Bouncefly to die. Spoopy takes care of said Chandelure, then his Gengar kills two more of my Pokemon. Derp the Quillfish almost took it out, but then Alistair uses the full restore and kills Derp. Gengar then kills Tank the Golett, and then Bad Bunny finally takes out Gengar. My box is officially emptied out, and I didn't think I had anywhere else left I could go to catch for Pokemon. So, I'm going with the battle against Raihan, only having 3 Pokemon in my party. The battle starts with a weather war, with me trying to get Hail and Raihan's Torkoal trying to get the Sun. I got lucky when I switched out Bad Bunny for Huna, as he went for Yawn instead of a fire move, giving me the chance to do a double switch to Spoopy and one-shot it with Water Spout. Raihan sends out Goodra next. While trying to get some Dark Pulse crits, I get nailed with a Thunder, thanks to the Rain Dance it used the previous turn. I think the only reason I took it as good as I did because it wasn't Stab, and I had the Assault Vest. I switch in Huna, who sadly gets paralyzed on the switch from Thunder, but takes out Goodra with an Ice Beam. I send back in Spoopy to take out his Turtonator. I switch back in Huna and take out Flygon, but when I had my chance, I lost my turn to Paralysis. Knowing the 2 other Pokemon wouldn't be able to safely switch in, I knew Huna would have to go. Flygon uses Earthquake, and I lose Huna. I switch back in Spoopy, who was almost killed by a Crunch. In return, I almost take out Flygon with a Hydro Pump. Knowing it would most likely use Crunch again, I switch in Bad Bunny and take it out with a Headbutt. Now I just gotta take out his Duraludon to get the win. We both Gigantamax, and after a couple of Max Flares, I take it out. But now, I only have 2 Pokemon left, and I still have to battle Leon. But before Leon and I can go at it, Rose suddenly appears in the Titantron and proclaims he brought back the darkest day for the sake of Galar's future. But the power is too much for his company to contain, claiming it's Leon's fault for not helping him. So Leon, Hop, and I now have to stop him. First, Hop and I head into the Slumbering Wheel to awaken the Sword and Shield heroes. It's then I remembered I never caught a Pokemon in that area. I ran into Muna, who I named Paper Moon, my last hope. Once Hop and I awaken the hero Pokemon, we rush back to Hammerlock where Rose battles me. Bad Bunny crushes his entire team, thanks in part to most of his Pokemon were Steel types. Once I beat him, he allows me and Hop to join Leon upstairs to stop Eternius. Hop and I make it upstairs in time to see Leon fail to catch Eternius, who then sets its sights on me. I didn't want Paper Moon to start because she was under-leveled, so I switch in Bad Bunny, who gets destroyed by a Dynamax cannon. I then set on Spoopy, who deals next to no damage. Thankfully, Eternius was just spamming Flamethrower, so it wasn't doing much damage to me either. Until I get burnt. Eternius eventually goes for another Dynamax cannon, and Spoopy fades away. And down to my last Pokemon, Paper Moon, who takes out Eternius with a super effective Psychic. I knew it was part Dragon at this point, and since Dark Pulse hit it for neutral damage, I figured it was also part Poison. But the battle isn't over yet, as Eternius Dynamaxes, but this time I have Hop and Legendary Duo backing me up. And with all that backup, Paper Moon is killed in action, ending the Nuzlocke. I was so close. I only had one more battle to do after this to complete the story. Of course, that being the battle against Leon. I went to this game blind and eventually drunk out of my mind. But watching this back through sober eyes, I can definitely say I learned a lot. If there's anything I want you guys to take away from this, is that you shouldn't rush. Especially if you're going to a game blind and playing by more hardcore rules. Will I do this again when the Diamond and Pearl remakes come out? Maybe. Probably, actually. Yeah, I definitely will do it. I'll probably end up actually streaming that one on Twitch when it comes out. But will I include drinking rules? Probably not, in all honesty. It was fun at first, but after a while it just became a chore, especially since I wasn't playing it all in one go because I simply don't have that kind of time. I would do maybe 4 to 5 hour recording sessions every single time I played this game. And there are times where I had to take like 5+ shots in a row to kind of get back to where I was. That wasn't fun. I actually got so sick of drinking that I didn't have any kind of alcohol for a month after I finished this challenge. So, while I might do like a hardcore Nuzlocke of the Diamond Pearl remakes, I probably will leave the alcohol to the side and just, drink it next time I hang out with some friends. And honestly, I would not recommend you guys include drinking rules, especially if it's your first time. On the plus side, I have no more babies on the way, so I can go at my own pace. But for now, I think it's time to put the Switch down. My name is Jeffrey Yuri, professional drunk locker, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.